This is the Sharkoon SGK50 S4. That model number sounds like it should be a monitor, but as you can see, it's a 60% gaming keyboard. Now, I've reviewed a few 60% boards here on the Kit Guru channel now, so let's see if this one stands out from the crowd and see if there's anything that makes it a solid choice for your main gaming keyboard. Hey guys, I'm Matt and welcome to Kit Guru. If you've not been here before, then welcome to the channel. Here you're going to find in-depth reviews on gaming and tech products, as well as cool custom builds, game benchmarks and everything in between. If you're a regular viewer, then welcome back, grab a drink and let's check out the Sharkoon Skiller SGK50 S4. Now before we start, I just want to let you guys know the price. This keyboard isn't available from anywhere in the UK yet, as far as we can tell. Sharkoon have told us that it should be on Amazon UK very soon. You can pick one up if you want to from Amazon Germany though for around 65 quid including shipping, but please bear in mind that this will have a different key layout than a standard UK version. Kicking the video off in the usual fashion, we'll start with the unboxing. The keyboard, which I'm going to refer to as the SGK50 for the rest of the video to save my voice and your ears, comes in a pretty solid box. It's made from corrugated cardboard and it feels really good quality. The top of the box has a picture of the keyboard in a glossy finish, along with a few details on the features and the specs, including the switch type, which in the case of my review unit was the Kale Red linear switches. Sharkoon did send me out a few different sets of switches, but we'll cover that more in the switch section of the video later on. The bottom of the box lists all the specs of the SGK50, as well as the features in a lot of different languages. Inside the box you'll obviously find the keyboard, which surprisingly isn't protected by anything at all, which, if it wasn't for the quality of the box itself, it would concern me quite a bit, but I'll let them off as the box is pretty decent. One thing I was really pleased to see is that Sharkoon included a coiled cable with the SGK50. Now usually this is an additional purchase for your keyboard, so to see one included at this price point is really nice and it looks great. You also get a keycap puller and a switch removal tool, as this keyboard does have hot swappable switches. There's a Sharkoon branded cleaning cloth, a few extra Sharkoon branded keycaps, and then some stickers, an instruction manual, and a card telling you not to bend the pins on your switches, which that kind of goes without saying, but if you've never swapped switches before, then you definitely don't want to be bending the pins, so just be careful with them. Overall, the design of the SGK50 is nice. I was sent out the white model to review, but Sharkoon do also make this keyboard in black if that's what you prefer. To be honest, black would usually be my first choice, but I've really taken to the contrast between the black outer edge keycaps and the rest of the board, and I really like the look of this white model. The main section of the keycaps are finished in white, and then the black accents added by the other keys really help the overall design pop. There's some Sharkoon branding on the bottom edge of the spacebar, and the function key has an S written in some sort of flame or dragon style font. It does stick out a little bit from the rest of the keys, and some people are bound to prefer a more traditional looking FN key. It would have been nice to have seen a more traditional FN key included, but that being said, I don't mind it too much and I think it looks alright. I think the overall design of the top of the SGK50 looks really nice, with the keycaps sitting flush with the sides of the chassis. This will hold the RGB back a little bit, but on the flip side, it helps to keep dust out from underneath the keys, and it really adds to the contrast between the black and white keys on this white design, which really makes the keyboard stand out. There's not much to say about the top, bottom and side edges of the SGK50 design-wise. They're all quite plain, they're all white, with the USB-C connection port positioned at the top left corner of the top edge. Now positioning it there was a nice thought by Sharkoon, as it allows the coiled cable to lie flat across the top of the keyboard when it's on the desk, and this helps it look really clean and really tidy. Coiled cables in general look so much better than a straight cable in my opinion, and the cable that's included with this keyboard looks very much like an aftermarket custom cable, but it's included with the purchase price. That's a really nice touch from Sharkoon. The bottom of the board is standard stuff. There's a small debossed Sharkoon logo at the top, and then the usual serial and part numbers listed on a sticker in the middle. The keyboard does have rubber pads on the bottom to keep it sturdy, and I've never had it once slip or move out of place while I've been gaming. The feet are adjustable and have a decent range of angles for finding the right level of incline for you. As always, and as you've heard me mention before, I always like the steepest angle, but there's plenty to choose from if you like something different. The SGK50 has full RGB backlighting, which looks great and has quite smooth transitions. However, it's fully controlled through keyboard shortcuts, as there's no software available for the SGK50. There are a fair few preset effects which can be cycled through by pressing the function and right control button, and you can adjust the colour of most of the effects by pressing the function and the menu keys. Disappointingly though, there isn't any way to adjust the speed of the presets, and I do feel like a few of them cycle a little bit too quickly. Now overall, I feel like the quality of the RGB on the SGK50 is really good, but it's slightly held back by the lack of any individual per key adjustment and control over the speed of the preset effects like I mentioned a second ago. But in general, and for the money that you're paying for it, the RGB is good on this keyboard. The fit and finish on the SGK50 is really good for a keyboard at this price point. Although the chassis is plastic, it still has a solid and rigid feel due to its size. There's a very minimal amount of flex when pressing down from the top or applying pressure from each end. The keycaps aren't the greatest, with them being made from ABS plastic. They won't last as long as PBT keycaps, but again, I keep mentioning it, I can forgive that due to the price point. It's 65 quid after all, or around about that. I can see options for purchasing a set of PBT keycaps for this keyboard on Sharkoon's website, but we don't have specific UK availability just yet. Now let's look at the switch options and the general typing experience, as this is, in my opinion, the most important aspect of reviewing a keyboard. The board that Sharkoon sent out to me came with Kale red linear switches pre-installed, but the SGK50 is also available with Kale brown tactile switches or Kale blue clicky switches, and you can just select which one you want if you choose to pick one up. The switches are hot swappable, so you're free to change to whichever 3 or 5 pin switches you'd like. Sharkoon sent me out a few different sets along with the keyboard, and the process of changing over to Gator and Milky Yellow switches was quick and convenient. The only things you need is the included keycap puller and the switch removal tool. If you've never changed switches in a keyboard before, then you've really got nothing to worry about. If you want to try it out and customise a hot swappable board, it's just like Lego really, you just snap them into place and pull them out. Here's a quick sound test using the stock Kale red switches so you can hear what this keyboard sounds like straight out of the box. Now, for the money that this keyboard costs, I keep mentioning it, but for the money that it costs, this keyboard sounds very nice. It puts some of the more expensive boards I've looked at recently to shame. The PCB is sandwiched between 2 layers of foam, which helps dampen the sound and makes the typing feel like you're using a board of 2 or 3 times the price. The stabilisers are excellent in my opinion. The SGK50 has the best sounding spacebar out of all the keyboards that I've reviewed for Kit Guru so far, and it costs a fraction of the price. I cannot stress enough just how good this keyboard feels and sounds when using it. I was genuinely shocked when I found out how much this board costs. It feels way more expensive than it is. Now let's talk about customization and software. And as I mentioned earlier, there isn't any software to customize the SGK50, which probably helps to keep the production cost and hence the retail cost down. Now, going back a couple of videos, I criticised the Ducky 1.3 for lacking software, and I still stand by that opinion here, but with this keyboard costing just over 1/3 of the price of the Ducky, I find it a bit of an easier pill to swallow. All of the customization is done using the function key and various keyboard shortcuts, and to be fair to Sharkoon, they are quite simple. It's pretty standard stuff for most 60% keyboards, with the media keys, the F1 to F12 keys, arrow keys and RGB adjustments and macro recording all being accessed via that Sharkoon branded function key. You can record 2 different 16 action macros and save them to the onboard memory profiles, which is also pretty simple to set up. It's just a case of entering macro mode by pressing function and tab, and then entering macro record by pressing function and caps lock. Then the 2 macro buttons, B and N on the keyboard, will begin to flash, allowing you to choose which one you want to save the macro to by again pressing the function key along with either B and N, which is macro 1 and macro 2. Now I know a lot of you prefer running your keyboards without software, and I can definitely see why. I personally like being able to control everything from my PC though, so the addition of some software in future models of Sharkoon keyboards would be nice to see. So my final thoughts on the Sharkoon SGK50 S4 are very positive. For the amount this keyboard costs, you'll get a very premium feeling experience with arguably the best typing sound that I've reviewed to date. Corners have been cut in certain places to keep the cost down, but I feel that Sharkoon have cut these corners in the right places. The chassis being plastic, for example, that's not something that you'd want to see on an expensive board, but for roughly 65 quid I can easily look past that. And while it would have been nice to have seen some software for customization, there isn't that much to the keyboard shortcuts and they're relatively simple. But in the areas where it matters most, this keyboard delivers big time. The stabilizers are excellent and they do a really good job of keeping rattle to an absolute minimum. The sound is very thocky and it just has a very custom and premium feel to it on a keyboard at 65 quid. The coiled cable was a really nice touch that you don't usually see unless you spend some extra money. For 65 quid you could do a lot worse than the Sharkoon SGK50 S4. So that's the end of the review guys. I hope you enjoyed it and found it helpful. If you did, please leave a like down below. If you want to buy some of our merch like this t-shirt that I've got on, there'll be a link in the description. If you want to check out our Patreon and support us and unlock some exclusive content, there's also a link for that in the description. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you want to keep up on the latest gaming news and reviews. I've been Matt. This has been a really good keyboard, the Sharkoon SGK50 S4. I will speak to you in the next one. Look after yourselves. See you later.